Thank you for watching this segment of Preparing Your Home from the Hurricane. I'm with Jim, and Jim Carmack is a meteorologist, been in the business for a bunch of years, and he knows what he's talking about regarding weather. And so glad to be interviewing you here for this segment. And we're going to be talking about riding out the storm. Now, in riding out the storm, I've been here on the coast all my life, and I've ridden out a lot of storms. I remember after I'd graduated from college, I had a roommate here on the Emerald Coast, and we were watching the news. News said, okay, a hurricane's coming, prepared, you know, that sort of thing. It was probably a level 1 hurricane, and we turned off the news, and my roommate looks at me with wide eyes, and he said, what are we going to do? And I said, oh, you're from Ohio, this is your first hurricane. I said, oh, okay. I said, no problem. Let me show you what we're going to do. I pick up the phone, I dial it, and I said, Denny. And I said, is the hurricane party going to be at your house tonight? Okay, great. I said, okay, good, we'll be there. I hang up and I said, everything's taken care of. And of course, this is not necessarily, I mean, a lot of times us locals kind of treat things this way, but we need to have some precaution. And so let's talk about riding out the storm. Give us some thoughts on that, and maybe even thoughts on my story.
Maybe better thoughts. Yeah, look, there is kind of an unwritten rule for people who live here, who've grown up here.
Right.
You know, if it's category 3 or unless it's category 3 or above, I'm not getting out of bed. Like, there's this magic line that once it hits a category 3, that's serious.
Right, yeah.
That's not necessarily the case. Each storm is unique. I know you probably hear that.
Hey, they heard it from me on another video.
But
I said that's what I do.
It is. And just because it's a category 1 or 2, it could strengthen before it makes landfall. It could adjust, it could shift, it could be a very slow moving storm, which leads to flooding and lots of issues. So here's where I kind of sit on the should I evacuate or should I not? And it's a whole nother topic for another day, but should I evacuate? When I was broadcasting on television, and people would ask all the time, first they come up and they say, tell us the real track, tell us what's really going on. Well, the news you're getting, the information you're getting is the real track. It's the real, most up-to-date, most accurate information that you can get. There's not a hidden story.
Yeah, why would you do that?
But when people would say, okay, well, should I evacuate? And here's my answer. Every time, if you're to the point where you're asking me if you should evacuate, the answer is yes. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Because if you're considering that, if that's the point in your head where you thought, maybe I should evacuate, yes, you absolutely should evacuate. Because what's the worst that happens? You leave town for a couple days, the storm moves or weekends or goes away, and you come back. And everything's great. I understand that there's a lot involved with that, work and schools and decision makings and money. I get all that. But look, when you reach the point, maybe we should consider, absolutely, you should evacuate, 100%.
Yeah.
That being said, a lot of people will choose not to, and that's your choice, certainly. If you choose to stay and ride out a storm, there are a lot of decisions that you need to make ahead of time. And the time to plan for those decisions is not when the storm is a day away.
Right.
When we're close to landfall and we're in 24-hour coverage. Like, that's not the time to start preparing. Maybe I should buy some hurricane shutters. Not a good idea, right?
Yeah, that's what this whole video series is about. Yes, thank you, Jim.
Right, so make sure you do have the plan in place regarding evacuation or staying. And if you are going to stay, there are some things that you can do to improve your odds, if you will, for yourself and your home, which is, I know, a lot of the focus of this too. So hurricane shutters are, of course, a very big decision. They're expensive. You know, it's an investment, absolutely.
Right.
But they are worth it. We've seen a lot of damage, you know, in past years, even not really strong storms. Of course, Ivan is in a kind of a category by itself. But other storms that have come through our area have done pretty significant damage to a lot of homes, and hurricane shutters can certainly help against that, or help avoid some of that damage.
Yeah, definitely can. Those who ride out the storm in their home, or maybe in a neighbor's house, you know, whatever, they pick the best location nearby, whether it be their house or a neighbor, moving around in the storm or right after the storm or whatever, it's an issue. So is the eye. Talk about the eye and the danger of the eye.
Yeah, so you're probably familiar if you've been here for a while, but maybe you're not. If you're not really familiar with the structure of a hurricane, it's a cyclonic, or a situation where you've got strong winds and a rotating massive atmospheric situation. And so in the eye, there will typically be a calming effect. And you'll see videos, you can watch them online, where the hurricane hunter planes will fly through a storm. They're taking readings on the strength and the pressure and a lot of those type of situations. And they get to the middle of the hurricane. It's a beautiful sunny day. Everything looks great.
Like today,
winds are calm. Right. There's birds flying. Like in the middle of the column of rotating air, you've got basically peacefulness. Is kind of just this middle zone. So if the hurricane is moving through, you're basically going to have two situations where the winds come onshore, and then especially here along the Gulf Coast, typically moving from south to north, give or take. Right, and they'll move through. You'll get the strong winds. You'll get winds beating down coming from the east, and they'll just hit you heavy for several hours. They'll calm down, and if it's daytime, it may even be nice. And you want to get out. You want to assess damage, but then the south side of the storm is going to come through, and the winds are going to be coming from the other direction, and it's bad again.
And if you don't have utilities, you might even think it's over.
Right.
You might think, hey, it's over. Oh, good.
Get out, start cleaning up stuff. Yeah, not the place to be. And you really want to wait until things are given the all clear, because if even roof tiles flying off, even if there wasn't massive damage, you've got debris likely everywhere in the streets and in the yards. You've probably got some trees down. Some roads may not be passable. You've got nails and some construction issues, and you don't want to be out there, especially without proper gear, protective gear, that kind of thing to work through. So being aware of the situation is key. Riding out the entire storm, kind of giving the all clear, and moving carefully, not just jumping in your car and driving across town to check on your parents or your brothers and sisters. Making sure that these are safe passages, safe ways to go, and safe times to travel. And you also mentioned, being aware of the situation in that time if you do choose to ride it out. You mentioned we had a hurricane party. Maybe not the best situation to be partying in, and I kind of say that as you want to have all your senses when you're moving out. You kind of really don't want to be in a either intoxicated state or maybe hungover. You know what I mean? Like just to be assessing damage. You don't. I know it's kind of a party if it's not that bad, but if it does get bad, you really want to have your awareness about you to go and assess the situation.
Thank you for watching, preparing your home for the hurricane, and we wish you well.